Hey, welcome back to the Clay Nelson Life Balance Hour on KZSB AM 1290. Now, before we went on the break, we were talking about family. We were talking about family meetings. We were talking about going fast, talking about the lack of communication. We're talking about the rules inside of a family meeting, talking about all kinds of things to do with how people need to relate and how people need to slow down and really speak what's on their heart and have the freedom to speak what's on their heart. Now, families work out of communications. They don't work out of no communication or miscommunication, all right? And if you remember last week, I was talking about the responsibility of communication is with the speaker. Whoever speaks has to be responsible for what the listener gets. You can't assume what a listener gets. You can't go, it's your fault, you didn't hear me right, you got a problem. It's never the listener's problem. It's always the speaker's problem if what you say is not understood. Okay? Now, recognition. Recognition for anybody is a place where people get acknowledged for who they are, what they've done, even what they didn't do. Sometimes laughed at, many times hugged. Makes no difference. It's just, acknowledgement for being alive and, quite frankly, taking up space on the planet. So it's all about getting really clear that recognition and the need for recognition is what drives kids. If they're not getting acknowledged at home, they'll go someplace else. And what we want to do is make sure that they're getting acknowledged at home and other places. But what we want to make sure we do the most is that our kids and our members of our family and the people on the block understand we know who they are, we appreciate who they are, we don't necessarily agree with everything they do, but we're going to defend their right to be able to do whatever it is they do anytime they want to do it.
So, and Clay, we want to make sure that the children and the people in our family are acknowledged in a positive way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like, well, here's an example. How about we do this, all right?
Sure, whatever that is.
Yeah. I was just thinking, my son is 16, just got his permit, and he has to do, I think in California, you have to do 60 hours of driving with a licensed driver that's over 21, I think it
25.
is. Over 25. Well, that's me. I qualify.
Or his parents.
Yeah, or his parents.
And we're over 25.
Yes, okay. And so I, decided, okay, we're going to go to school. And CJ said, okay, let's drive. So I put him in my Cadillac, and we started off down the road. And he's driving. He's doing just fine. I just noticed he had his foot on the gas a lot. And he was gassing it pretty good because this whole Cadillac of mine is like a junior 5-ton race car. And I noticed that he was going pretty fast and things were happening pretty fast. And all of a sudden, he hits the brakes, tries to make a turn that he can't make, and ends up stopping in the middle of the road. And there's all kinds of cars behind us honking the horn. And I'm going, CJ, yeah, that one. And I'm going, CJ, what exactly are you doing? And he just looked at me and he said, Dad, I don't know. I said, well, why don't you just pull over here for a minute? I didn't get mad. I didn't yell at him. I didn't, swear or do anything else. I just asked him to pull over and just kind of take a deep breath and just kind of tell me exactly what he was thinking. And what he was thinking is he found a new way to drive to school. He wanted to go this way because it was easy for me to get back on the freeway, and it let him off right where he wanted to go, but he couldn't remember the name of the street. So he was looking for the street, driving a 6-ton Cadillac, going 35 miles an hour, which was the speed limit, and noticed the street when he was already on top of it. And what he didn't know is it takes a little bit of time to stop a 6-ton vehicle going 35 miles an hour. So when he hit the brakes and the car didn't stop in time, he started to make the turn, figured out that he couldn't make the turn. He had to stop rather radically. And the cars behind him were going, excuse me, what in the heck are you doing? Plus, it's 7:30 in the morning, nobody's awake yet, and so on and so forth. Now, the point of this is I didn't get mad, and don't hear me like, gee, isn't Claire great? All I'm saying is I didn't get mad, I didn't make him wrong, I didn't take him out of the car and get in the car and take over the driving. I asked him to pull over to the side and got him to tell me what he was doing. Now, what I wanted him to learn is that he's driving a 6-ton vehicle going 35 miles an hour, making a turn that was unsafe, wasn't pre-planned, and he wasn't communicating. And he said, I got it. And you know what? He understood. I totally got he understood. So I got my job done. And luckily, we didn't hurt anybody. We didn't get in a wreck, and my insurance rates didn't go up.
Yes, it's the little things.
Yeah. So the point is I have a member of my family that's going through a growth curve that has a lot to do with the interface of other families, other people, other vehicles at a very strategic, difficult time, 7:30 in the morning. So, and we got through a problem without being made wrong, with no screaming or yelling, and we got to communicate what was going on. It's called family.
Clay, speaking of teenage sons here, we have an email that came in from Carla here, and she says, my husband has a tendency to be short, not just as I think as an angry here, not tiny, but not just with our kids, but with everyone.
Yeah.
However, my teenage son takes it very personally. He becomes visibly unhappy and sulks, which frustrates my husband even more. Do you have any suggestions for bringing the two of them back together?
Yeah, one thing you have to realize is I didn't realize. See, I have a brother who's 6'4", weighs almost 410 pounds. So, I'm 5'10" and used to weigh about 300 pounds. And I always thought I was a small guy. I didn't realize that I looked like a Mack truck coming towards people. All right, so my son and my daughter, when they were little, I didn't realize how big I was or how big I represent myself to be. And so when I would say something to them, they'd go, "Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm going to die. He's going to step on me. It's going to be ugly."
Just more to hug.
Yeah, more, yeah. Anyway, so my answer to that question or that statement is one, you have to realize the image you project. See, it's not so much what you say, it's how you project yourself. Like if you want to communicate with somebody that's smaller than you, get down on their level. You want to make a difference with a child, if they're only standing to your knees, you need to lay down on the floor and get nose to nose with them. So you're equal. They're not looking up at you like this giant that could just rip their head off. So it's all about full and complete communication. And it's all about being responsible for what the listener gets, not only what you say, but how they feel. So it's not about just what you're doing, it's about who you're being also. Can you hear that? So it's about being responsible for the full package. Like I wanted to be responsible, and that CJ knew he had to be responsible on how he drove the car, but I didn't want to do damage in teaching him that. I wanted to make sure he understood that there's some responsibility in driving the car, there's responsibility in communicating where you're going, and there was my responsibility in making sure that I taught him responsibly on how to drive that car. Well, that was a mouthful, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. All right, so now we're back to communication within the family. I don't know whether you're learning to drive a car, going to school, going to work, making a grocery list, cleaning up a house, cleaning out the garage, polishing your Honda or your Harley, learning how to type, doing the bills, balancing the checkbook, doing the laundry, whatever it is. It's all about family. And guess what? None of this stuff matters. When you're getting ready to complete your life, you want the people around you that you love, and you want people around you that you can be hugged by. And all the bills you didn't pay or paid, all the money you made, you found out money can't hug you, all that stuff doesn't matter. What matters is family. What matters is full and complete communication. What matters is unconditional love. Can you hear that? Now, I've been talking about unconditional love, or a loving way of being, all through the last show and so far in this show. And it's all about understanding you can't make a difference yelling at somebody. You can't make a difference flailing your hands around or looking at somebody with your razor blades, eyeballs, where you're going to do surgery on them. You look at somebody, that's it, you're going to die. And if you're doing that to your kids, you're going to shut down their listening. And they'll go to someplace else and listen to other people that you may not want them to listen to. So think about that, okay? All right, now we've got to go on another break. When we come back, we're going to go into what is a family meeting, how do we handle family meetings, what happens when a family meeting gets out of control, all that kind of stuff. So you're listening to Clay Nelson Life Balance Hour, KZSB AM 1290. Get on back here.